I've said that Capcom is the greatest third-party developer of all time, and I still stand by that. However, as I say this, I happily agree that Konami is a close second. As a matter of fact, the two companies have both had a sort of competitive relationship that goes back decades. Capcom had Resident Evil, Konami had Silent Hill. Capcom had Mega Man, Konami had Castlevania. Capcom had 1943, Konami had Gradius. Capcom had Final Fight, Konami had The Simpsons and Ninja Turtles. And finally, Capcom had Little Nemo the Dream Master and Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, and Konami had Monster in My Pocket. Now, the debate over which is better is heated for those first four, but there's simply no argument with that last comparison. When it comes to pint-sized licensed games on the NES, Monster in My Pocket doesn't come close to matching the greatness of either Rescue Rangers or Little Nemo. It certainly had potential to be as great, and I'm not saying this game is terrible, it's just that there's very little to really praise it for. It's not that it's bad, it's just not very good, especially when compared to similar titles like Rescue Rangers and Little Nemo. Alright, first off, the game is really short and really easy. On my first try, I beat this game in 20 minutes, only using one continue. That's because if you die, you start right back where you died. Typically in a game like this, you'd start back at a checkpoint or at the beginning of the level. If you lose all your lives, then you have to start the level over, but that probably won't happen because most of the enemies are really easy to kill. And there's a ton of health just littered throughout the game's 6 short levels. I can't imagine how much easier this would be with 2 people. Also, you don't get any power-ups or special weapons, just your short-range energy wave thing. In some of the levels, you can find a giant key or a screw you can hurl at enemies, which I'll admit is pretty fucking cool. But you don't get a chance to use it that often, as it only appears in the 1st, 2nd, and 5th level. And if you accidentally throw it off the screen, there it goes. So get used to this attack, because that's pretty much all you're getting. But it's not like you really even need special weapons, since again, most of the enemies are really easy to kill, you get a ton of health, and there's no real penalty for dying. Now, I'm comparing this game to Little Nemo and Rescue Rangers because they all have that really cool, big Little World perspective. And the first 2 levels in Monster in My Pocket look great. But then we're in a sewer, and then a construction yard, and then an oriental restaurant, and then like a cave or something, I don't know. We've seen how good this perspective can look when done right, and it simply isn't done right here. Most of the levels are boring, when they should look really cool and imaginative. It seems like a waste of potential. Monster in My Pocket has a laughably stupid storyline, and that's a plus in my book. So, the monster and the vampire that's chilling, watching some TV, when all of a sudden the bad guy comes on and says, "I've set my henchmen after you." And they pretty much go, we're gonna kick your butt. And that's it. Gotta love those terrible NES stories. I'll also give Konami praise for calling the Frankenstein monster the Monster, which is the correct name for that character. A lot of people seem to forget that Frankenstein was the doctor who made the monster, not the actual monster. But I will not give them praise for how silly the vampire looks. I know they're probably going for that classic vampire look, but come on, Konami knows how to make a cool looking vampire. But maybe this is the fault of the source material and not Konami, who knows. They're both still goofy looking when they run though. Another thing I'll give Monster in My Pocket the thumbs up for is a solid soundtrack. The soundtrack isn't quite up to the level of overlooked classics like Journey to Silius or Power Blade, but it's got some pretty damn good tunes. Just like with most Konami games, and much like its competitor Capcom, if the game is weak, chances are at least the soundtrack is good, which is most certainly the case here. But yeah, Monster in My Pocket is pretty lame, but worth the $5 I spent on it. I'm sorry if I've disappointed the fans that have requested this game, but it doesn't really have that much going for it other than a cool concept and it technically being a decent licensed game. But it's short, it's easy, and really unimaginative. But if you want to talk noteworthy licensed games Konami made for the NES, you want to talk Bucky O'Hare. I'll see you on the next Game Quickie.